got to get one of those. I got to write down the number next time there's a TV commercial for it.
Geno, can you discuss what the first media timeout was like in the huddle, and was the discussion rather one-sided?
The first media timeout? Oh, at 13-4. Well, it was mostly, and you could see it coming. We come down, we score. They miss. Then we miss wide open shots. You're not going to hold them forever. And then I think we got like standing around doing nothing. And then they got a little run, a little bit of momentum. And I knew that, once we got some movement and once we got some flow, that we would be okay. And I told them they're not going to make 10 more threes. I don't know how many they made in the first quarter. How many? 3? They made 4 the rest of the game. So, but that's the only thing I was worried about going into the game, whether offensively we would be able to generate enough of a flow, because they just put 4 guys in the lane, and we needed Aubrey to play great today because her guy was going to be in the lane the entire game. And we needed our big guys to shoot the ball well from the perimeter, which is a good test for us, because that's what people are going to do a lot of times.
Geno, Lou was Lou was a big part of sparking that run for you guys in the second quarter. Just how crucial has her play, been for you guys this season, and has she surpassed, your expectations you had for her coming in?
I'd probably not be truthful if I said yes or if I said no. When Lou came here for summer school in June, after the first 5 days, I pretty much said, somebody who was a starter is not going to start this year. I mean, that's how impressive she was and how well she fit into our scheme of things, and what a great teammate and what a great person she is. And it's only continued to go up in my estimation, for me personally. It's been more and more positives. That I don't know where we'd be without Lou. She might be our MVP.
Hey, Geno, can you explain the dancing at the end and what that was all about? What led to it?
I lost my composure. You know who the happiest kid on our team is? Who would you guess? Nika, right? It's the happiest kid on our team. You know who the most miserable person in the world is? Nika Mule. Because when shots aren't dropping for her, she spent so much time on it this week, and her misses were so bad. One would hit the side of the basket, I think, or something. And I said, at one point I said, just shoot one that looks like it might go in. And that made her just really a really happy camper, right? And I told her at halftime, I said, you need to make 2 in the second half. Right? You need to make 2 in the second half. So when she made one, I was overcome with joy.
Geno, you talked yesterday about this way. Hi. You talked yesterday about just how tough the team has to be with the shortage of bodies that you have. What can you say, especially with DePaul in 48 hours, just how, not only how they stuck it out, but what the rest of the stretch looks like in terms of trying to keep them as refreshed as they can possibly be?
Yeah. One of the things we talked about in the locker room was what you saw in that first quarter. You almost got to not be surprised when stuff like that happens, because sometimes mentally or physically or whatever the case may be, you know, maybe we expect when things start easy that it's going to be easy and we just kind of roll through it. And then when it gets hard, it's like, you know, one more thing we got to fight through. But they've been so resilient. They've been so so trustworthy, you know, that I know defensively we're always going to have a chance. We're always going to have a chance. It's just a matter of, can we get any offense going on that particular night? And nights like Seton Hall, you know, you go, wow. And in days like Georgetown, you also go, wow. You know, so you almost kind of have to expect, you know, that it could be like that. Keeping them off their feet, keeping them rested as much as possible. This stretch, the next 11 days, is probably the toughest stretch of the season. So we have to figure out how to do this.
You know, going back to Lou, I mean, she came here, everybody talking about how well she could score. Joe Frager said she'd fit in here. But do you see her growing as a player? I mean, today she had a UConn high 7 rebounds. She tied her UConn high for 5 assists. I mean, she just seems to be doing a little bit more than just scoring.
Yeah, I try to get the ball in her hands as much as possible. What'd I do wrong? They finally caught me. I try to get whenever things are not going well for us, I try to get the ball in her hands as much as possible, as many places and as many ways as I possibly can. You know, her legs aren't there like they were early in the season. So the 3 ball is not just floating in effortlessly, you know. So she's smart enough to, you know, find other ways to score. I mean, you're shooting 52% from the 3-point line. That's pretty amazing, right? But she knows what she is. She knows what she's good at, and she has tremendous confidence in her ability. And I was most impressed with a couple passes that she threw today were really, really, really good. Because I've been kidding with her all season. I don't anymore about, you know, if she gets 2 assists early on in the season, if she would get 1 or 2 assists, I would say. I talked to Coach Frager. He said that's a career high for you. She wasn't allowed to pass the ball at Fairfield. She had to make every big shot. And she's become a pretty decent passer. And she doesn't back off from mixing it up. She's getting better defensively, you know. All the things that we need her to be, she's been all those things. All those things. I would coach till I'm 90 if I had 12 of her. And then there's some other guys, I would go out for pizza tomorrow and come back in my next life.
Hey, Gino. Your guys are so versatile. So having, a depleted roster, how much does that help that you can put Aaliyah and Dorka out to guard, guards,
Yeah.
and then she's getting like Aaliyah's getting those steals in the transition buckets. Like that must be like somewhat of a comfort that they're so versatile going forward into this stretch.
And that's something that, I don't think Aaliyah had when she was a freshman, and she's gotten better at it. So that's comforting for us that we can do that. We play Dorka out on the wing, and we have a 6'5" guard out there, and we can switch defensively and do different things. We could put Aubrey in a couple different spots. We certainly don't have the flexibility that we had, a month ago, 2 months ago. But, practices are about trying to be creative as to where to put people. So you find that usually here we just play, we just play through things and find ourselves last year and this year calling and running more plays to be specific about where each person goes so we can take advantage of them at that point in time.
You've talked about consistency for decades, and I know this statistic is going to pale compared to some of the things you guys have done here. But it's 10 wins in a row, and this is the 17th straight year you've had a 10-game winning streak at some point in the season. Like I said, it doesn't seem like much, but if you compare it to others, can you talk about the consistency of the way you guys do things?
I want to say a lot of it has to do with what the expectation is here for players when they get here. They walk in our practice facility, and right away they know that there's a sense of history and tradition here that they either are going to be strong enough, tough enough to add to it, or it's going to break them. And fortunately, we've been getting the kind of kids that they embrace that. They look forward to it for the most part. Some win you a national championship because that's how good they are and how tough mentally and physically they are. And others maybe come up short, but the expectation is there. The bar is really, really high. And the kids that come here, they embrace that, we talk a lot about, what's fragile, what's the meaning of fragile? Now, fragile, from Christmas Story, fragile. Now, fragile. And I asked them the definition of fragile, and they gave me a couple. Easily broken, handle with care, right? I said, if you're fragile as an individual, and we're fragile as a team, you'll never reach your goal here. Because the pressure and who we are and what's expected of us and will break you. So you either come in here with that mindset or you develop that mindset of trying to be unbreakable. Because everything here will try to break you. And this team, more than any team that I've coached maybe in 38 years, has probably had more to deal with to prove how strong they are than any team that I've coached maybe ever. I don't think there's been a team that I've had at Connecticut that's had more to overcome than this one. Pretty remarkable, I think.
Just, your thoughts on DePaul for Monday and Anissa Moro?
I was saying earlier, I think I might have said it to Maria, she could get 50 tomorrow. And if we guard the hell out of her, maybe we can hold her to 35. She's one of those kids in the country that is just really, really, really hard to defend. She's skilled, she plays hard, she's competitive, she's a little bit edgy. And yeah, they don't have the similar characteristics that they've had in previous years. They're dealing with their own injuries. But it's DePaul. And you don't have a script when you play DePaul. They come in and you just keep your eyes open because you have no idea what the hell's going to happen. They could try to play a 125 to 120 game, or it could be 55 to 50. You got to be ready for anything when you play those guys. Bruno's getting cranky too in his old age. So, I'll try to keep him happy tomorrow night.
On a similar note, Aaliyah had 20 today. How important is this matchup with DePaul in terms of getting her a test kind of in the front court with Mora?
Yeah, her and Dorka got a big test tomorrow, right? And then later this week too, at Tennessee. If you think about what's an All-American type player, right? It's somebody that you can count on your team to get you a bucket when you need it. Get a rebound when you need it. Get a steal when you have to have one. Get a block shot. And she plays so hard, and she's so consistent that, she's had an All-American type season. And we're probably going to need her more than ever these next, 11, 12 days. I mean, she's got tomorrow night, DePaul. We got at Tennessee. And we got Villanova. Another kid who could get 60 on us. And we got South Carolina coming up. And, whew.
Geno, in third quarter, did you notice you had the 5 international players on the floor?
Did I? Was all? No. Who was out on the floor? Temporary loss of insanity. Certainly wasn't done on purpose. But how do you explain? You can't explain stuff. How do you explain Nesh going into the game and the first time she touches the ball, she thinks she's Sue Bird, and she's going to drive down to the baseline and fool everybody and throw a behind-the-back pass for the greatest layup ever. And it's a walk. And then her next possession, she tops that. She thinks she's Aubrey, and she's going in the lane and doing all this shit, trying to get a shot off, and I don't know what the hell happened. Hey, look, you got to love these guys, these international guys. They just stare at you when you talk to them. You know that's the dumbest play in the history of basketball. Can't even get mad after that. Yeah, I know.
Geno, you said you went into the game thinking that Aubrey had to play great for you because they were going to pack it in on you. Were you pleased with her response? She did make a lot of twisting, turning, but they went in. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes degree of difficulty for Aubrey means the shot will go in. A wide open one underneath the basket might not. But Aubrey's the only one on our team that can do that. So you got to be what you are for our team. That's why, Nesh, you can't be Aubrey. But Aubrey can be Aubrey. And that's what she was today. Just enough, outside shots, made her free throws, attacked the basket in transition, caused a little havoc defensively. Aubrey being Aubrey. And that's what we need from each individual. Nobody can be anything else, but they can't be less than what they are. That's the message to them all the time. Nobody can be AZ. Nobody can be Paige. Nobody can be Caroline. You got to be who you are, and you got to do your thing, and you have to do it every day, every night, every game. And so far, been pretty close. I'm tired.